Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering, your home for real nuts and bolts guitar learning. This is the beginning of a series called Arpeggios. I'm a professional guitarist here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I use arpeggios all the time when soloing, building chords, all that sort of stuff. So there's a PDF that goes along with this lesson, so make sure and download that. The link for that is in the YouTube description down below. So take a second, pause if you need to download that, because that's what we're going to be referring to. If you want to have your guitar here handy, that's great too. Arpeggios, let's just jump into it. Arpeggios comes from the Italian word meaning broken chord, to break a chord apart. So if I have a regular C chord here, okay, so most everybody would just play it as a chord, but you can break the individual notes apart, so you end up with something that sounds like this. When I break a chord apart like that, it's called an arpeggio, and you can do all kinds of things with arpeggios, these broken chords, to add to your playing, and soloing, and all kinds of things. So let's take a look at some of the types of arpeggios first. We're gonna categorize these by what string the root is on. So if you look at the first page of the PDF there, let's kind of get some of the things out of the way. Most of these are going to be arpeggios with notes that are on adjacent strings. They can either be 3-note arpeggios, a triad, which basically encompasses the root, the third, the fifth. If I did it minor, it'd be the root, the flat, third, and the fifth. And I can put those in different areas of the guitar. And we're gonna be looking at all that. So there's 3-note ones, there's 4-note ones. Let's say I want to do a C major 7th. Now I can combine these all together to create a longer arpeggio. But it's all just the same 3 or 4 notes, just done up in different octaves. So that's what we're going to get into. The first we're going to look at is the simple ones, which are the 3-note ones. These are based off of triads. And we're going to start with our major triads, and we're going to do them off of the fingers on your left hand. We don't typically, as far as the 6th string root, we're going to start with the roots on the 6th string. And we generally don't have roots on the 6th string dealing with our 3rd finger. So I just gave you one starting with the 2nd finger, starting one with the 1st, starting one with the 4th. So by the time we get through the end of this, you'll be able to do arpeggios, major, minor, and dominant 7th on any finger, on any string on the guitar. That's where we're heading. So to get us started off, we're going to start on the 6th string, and we're going to do a C arpeggio, a C triad arpeggio, and we're going to start just for our make it easy. We're going to start with our 2nd finger on the C on the 6th string. Well, where's the C on the 6th string? It's going to be here at the 8th fret. Okay, so we're going to have C, and I'm going to do a major triad. So the notes in that are a C, E, and a G. Now, there's many different ways I can play it, but with here, the traditional way is to do a 2nd finger on the C, 1st finger on the E at the 7th fret at the 5th string, G at the, what is that, the 10th fret on the 5th string. And that is what's called a closed arpeggio. What I mean is all of the notes are within an octave. Now, there's closed voicings on guitar and open voicings. We're going to be dealing with kind of the closed voicings end of things on guitar. Now, I don't always have to start on the root. For our purposes here, we're going to start on the root, but I could start on the 3rd. Instead of going C, E, G, I could start on the E, G, C. I could even start on the 5th. But you'll see how they're connecting together like puzzle pieces. So once you kind of do one of them, you can kind of see all the other little ones inside of it. So the first one I want to teach you today is we're going to be at the 7th position on the guitar. So you go up here to the 7th fret, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to put my 2nd finger on the 6th string at the 8th fret. So the 2nd finger is going to be at the 8th fret. And we're going to play this. C, E, G, and then back down. Arpeggios do go ascending and descending. You can go in either direction or both. So that's the first one we're going to start off. C, E, G, E, C. Pretty simple. Now, if I wanted to expand that out to where I'm going a couple of different octaves, or at least as far as I can in a position, there's a slightly different fingering for that. So if you want to look at page 2 we've got the, I put the chord block there at the bottom of page 2. The diamond is indicating the root. So you'll notice the 7 fret there, so we're at the 7th position. We're going 2, 1, 4. Then I have it written out there as well as the tab. So I gave it to you as many different ways as I could. That's the simple one. So flip over to page 3, and now we're going to expand this one out. Now when I expand it, you'll notice the fingering changes a bit. So don't let that freak you out. Second finger, first, and then instead of the 4th finger, I'm going to use my 3rd and do a big stretch because of where I'm going. That's where I'm going. So I'm going to go 2, 1, 4 with my 3rd finger. On the notation there, you'll see numbered notes that have a circle around them. That means those are finger notations there. I also try and put the positions underneath there too, so you can see where it is. So right there, I switch the 8th position. Now, here's something we're going to deal with a lot. I have a G and a C, and both of them are with a 3rd finger. What I want you to do is just roll down. Flatten that knuckle out and just roll down. So you might practice that for a little bit. Just that rolling. You don't want to play the G and then lift up and play the G like that. Play the C like that. That's too much energy. Just roll it. Okay, but now we're going to keep going. And then 2nd finger on the E, 1st finger on the G. Then I roll again. I kind of make a little bar down to the high C, still with my 1st finger, and then stretch all the way out with my pinky to the 12th fret to catch that high E. That's about as far as you can practically go with this one. So I'll do it real slow. You try and play it with me if you can. 2, 1, 3, stretch out, roll down to the 3, 2, 1, roll down to the 1, and then pinky out for the high E. So I went from the low C through 2 octaves and then a few notes after that. Now these are all based off of a root. The diamonded notes are the root. So if I wanted to play this currently, it's in C. If I wanted to play it in, let's say, A, well, then I have to put my 2nd finger, still have to play with your 2nd finger. 2nd finger on the A, and now I'm going to do the same pattern. There you go. Sometimes you'll find it may be helpful to do a sweep picking with your picking hand. So I'll try and do that. Maybe we can get a shot of my picking hand on this. So if I did it just normal, it would be. But here's my choice. If I'm going on adjacent strings continuing down, I want to continue in the same direction. So do you see how I just went down, 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 and then I went back up like that? Okay? Now when I'm descending, it's the same principle. I want to keep things in the right direction. So if I'm going upstroke, 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 I can do that all the way down. I can even go down to the 5th string. So it takes a little bit of coordination to kind of do a sweep picking thing like that, but it is very time efficient, and you can get going pretty fast with it. All right, so that's if I wanted to do an A, pivoting off of the 6th string note. That's a great one. Okay, so we've done it. We've done a 2.5 octave arpeggio with major with a 2nd finger on the 6th string. Now let's go with our 4th finger on the 6th string. We're going to go back to C. So now if I put my 4th finger where my 2nd finger was, now I'm in the 5th position. So when I say 5th position, that's telling you where your 1st finger is going to be. So you're kind of in this area of the guitar. So look at the next one down there. This would be the middle of page 3. I have my 4th finger. Now he's the root. And then I'm going to roll down this 1st finger down to make this bar. So if I just did this little simple one, Kind of makes a shape that you can see there on the first diagram in the middle line on page 3, and it's written out there as well. So I would be in the 5th position for this. Now if I want to expand that out to where I can make it maybe 2 octaves, I just keep going. So it's going to be 4th finger, 2nd finger, 1st finger, then roll down again to catch the E, then I go pinky with the G at the 2nd string, 8th fret, and then roll down for the high C underneath it. I'll do that again. 1st finger, 1st finger, 1st finger, 4th finger, roll. And you can do picking it on your way back down, do adjacent strings if you want to as well. So if I wanted to do, let's say I had a chord progression in the key of, let's say, B flat, okay, then I put my pinky there and I go. So what's a good way to practice this? Well, I would probably turn on my metronome and I would just get the finger patterns of it down. So we're talking mainly about finger patterns at this point, and I'm going to give you, at least in this first lesson, 3 different finger patterns. The one starting with the 2nd finger, one starting with the 4th finger, there you go, okay? If I wanted to do it in A, when I put my pinky there, it's just a way, arpeggios are a great way to expand. If I have a chord that goes on for a few bars, I don't have to think about, well, I could do scales and I could just run around on the scale, but I can also do these things arpeggios and start jumping around on these different chord tones. And you'll find that if I can do this and kind of get adept at using a full arpeggio or just a part of an arpeggio, that I've got just more things that I could do over that chord. So that's the beauty of them. So I've shown them to you 2 different ways here. We've shown them to you with the 2nd finger. We've done a small arpeggio, and then we've done the extended one. I've started with our 4th finger, and I've done the small one, barring that 1st finger down, and then I've done the extended one there. Okay, so we've done them 2. We've done them with our 2nd finger and our 4th finger. Let's try them one now with our 1st finger. You know, so take a look at the next page. This would be page 4. Steve, why didn't you start with this one with the 1st finger? Because this is the hardest one. That's why I didn't start that one. The 2nd finger one is the easiest one. So I want you to put your 1st finger on that same C. Now, where we're at, so now we would be considered, because where our 1st finger is, we would be considered in the 8th position. Okay, so here I would be considered in the 7th position because my 1st finger's at the 7th fret. If I put my pinky there, I'd be considered I'm in the 5th position because of where my 1st finger is at. So we're going to be in the 8th position now. All right, so this one is a little bit of a stretch. Okay, so with arpeggios, oftentimes you have to do this. You have to open your hand a little bit. So in order to catch a C major triad, C, E, and G, with my 1st finger now, I've got to reach way out here with the 6th string, 12th fret for that E. So that's already an extended stretch. Okay? And 3rd, if I do this extended stretch, 3rd is a little awkward to use. So sometimes it's easier to move the hand over this way and to do 1 to 4 and then 2, 2. 2nd finger, I'm barring down using my knuckle there when I need to do that. So that's the small version of it. So kind of get that motion of it first. 1st, pinky, 2nd, rolling down. Now I do not have to go down to that octave. I could just do 3 notes if I want to. Okay. If I wanted to extend this, I can really extend this one. So I'm going to go. Sorry. Okay, so I can can go up, what, 2.5 octaves on that one. But in order to do that, I have to switch things around. So I'm actually, even though I'm starting here with my first finger on the 8th position, I'm going to actually go through 2 different other positions. So the first thing I'm going to do is jump up here with my 3rd finger and play the E with my 3rd finger, not the 4th. Notice how that changed. So now that puts the G and the C with my 1st finger. So that's the first shift. 1st, then jump up to 3rd. So now I would be in the 10th position. And then I use the 3rd jump again, and I'm going to now be the 3rd finger on the 4th string at the 14th fret. And here I'm going to go 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 1st, pinky. So if I add that to the others, it becomes. There you go. Now, if you're on a classical or you're on maybe an acoustic guitar, if you don't have a cutaway, that's going to be tough doing it in C. So just practice it in a different key, maybe an A or something. Sorry. There you go. Maybe you can even slide up to it then. Different ways you can do it. But if you have a cutaway, practice it in C. Now, it takes a lot of practice to get them smooth as you're jumping these positions, but it's well worth it as you're learning these arpeggios, because bass, you think, oh my goodness, Steve, each one of these is just part of that arpeggio. So when you put it all together, it ends up with this larger arpeggio, but if you just do parts of it, you can end up with a large part, but it's actually just little pieces that you're putting all together. So that is kind of where we're starting on this. We're doing major triads on the 6th string. We did them with our 2nd finger. We did them with our 4th finger. We did them with our 1st finger with these jumps. All right, so how I would practice those, I would first go through them in a bunch of different keys. I would do them in C, and then maybe I'd do them in F. Now you start running off the next, so maybe I could at least do the one with the 1st finger. G. A flat. And just work your way up like that. Different ways of practicing them, but I would try and work with the metronome. Start real slow and just try and get the finger patterns down. That's the first part of it. Now, next time we'll get into these arpeggios on the 5th string, and I'll show you the 5th string versions. We may even be able to get into minors as well and start working there. But this is where we're going to start. So how I want you to work on this is work on the small arpeggios first. Then maybe put them all together. Throw them in different keys. Maybe it's a good habit to do maybe circle of fifths. So maybe jump from the key of C to the key of G to the key of D. I'm going up a fifth each time. That's a good way to practice anything, is to do it in fifths. So there you go. That's the basic information. We're going to be adding to this with each session that we go to. Currently you've got 4 pages and a lot of stuff to work on for a few days to get those underneath your fingers. Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering. Learn all you can, and we will see you next time.